Hey everyone, good afternoon. Some beachgoers are actually leaving this area. They were all just here checking out this massive tarpon that washed up here on Lido Beach. I'm at the north end. If you're on San Armin Circle, pretty much just go straight, and when you approach this area, as soon as you get on the beach, it's the first thing you'll see if you just head straight. So I was told by Mote Marine Laboratory that it was dispatched by Florida Fish and Wildlife after getting a call about this. What Mote has told me is that they were, FWC was originally contacted last night about this washing ashore. A beachgoer called in claiming that they saw a dolphin wash up. But if you look closely, you can see there's a lot of scales on this fish right here. It is not a dolphin. According to Mote Marine Lab, after they came out here this morning to check out what's going on, they determined it is a massive tarpon. And you can even see from this angle, its mouth is open. It's very disturbing, and it's very sad after all that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. In about the last week to 10 days, we've had a dozen dolphins wash ashore in Sarasota County. I originally called Mote Marine Lab to find out if this was dolphin number 13, but that's when they told me that this is a massive tarpon here. Like I said, you can see, it's very sad to see. Also, more wildlife washing ashore here. And you can look really close. You can see inside of its mouth. I'm going to go and say that this is about 2.5 to 3 feet. It's not 15 feet. That would mean it was 3 of me, and it's definitely not 3 feet. But yes, this I would say is probably about 2.5 to 3 feet here. There are flies flying all over this dead fish that has been sitting here since at least last night. Overall, Lido Beach is still vacant. Not very many beachgoers here that we're used to seeing. There's a couple here, but mostly everyone is fully clothed, just checking out what we have going on here. There's something else washing ashore right now, and I can't get very close to see what it is. There's another unique piece of wildlife washing up. I'm not sure what that is, to be honest with you. It'll probably make its way on shore in the next couple minutes. But I do see some dead fish floating in the water. As I mentioned, a lot of people coming out here just to take photos of this massive tarpon that's washed up. We do see some dead fish out here on the sand. Not as many as we've seen in the past. Sarasota County says it's removed more than 100 tons of dead fish from county beaches over the last week or two. I think the last number I saw was 126 tons as of Friday. But we do have a vacant beach here on Lido, on the north end of Lido. But you don't have to be as careful stepping like we used to within the last couple of days. It used to be so many fish that were on the sand. There's definitely not that many. You kind of have to search for dead fish to see them here. But definitely this one is attracting a lot of beachgoers, just trying to see what's going on here. This one is kind of curled up fish. A beachgoer just was questioning whether or not that could be a catfish. I'm not a fish connoisseur, but it's definitely not like the others that we've seen wash up over the last couple of weeks. So for those of you who are tuning in, I want to let you know what's going on here. This is a massive tarpon. Florida Fish and Wildlife was actually contacted about this massive fish last night, and they were dispatched told that it was actually a dolphin that washed ashore. But so then from there, Florida Fish and Wildlife contacted Mote Marine Laboratory. And then when Mote Marine came out here this morning, they determined that it was not a dolphin, that it's actually a large tarpon that washed up. It's approximately 2.5 to 3 feet in length. I was able to determine right away that it wasn't a dolphin because of all the scales on here, but I could understand how someone that kind of stayed away from the fish, how they could determine that. But from this angle, it's so sad. You can actually see all inside of its mouth. There's flies all over this fish. I'm calling it massive because that's the term that Mote Marine gave me. But considering how large tarpons can get, I guess in the grand scheme of things, this is on the smaller scale. But it's definitely big when you're walking along the beach and you come across this large fish. So as far as the smell goes around here, when you go on the beach, at first my thought was it's not as bad as what we've been experiencing here. But then there was a large gust of wind, and within seconds I started to feel a slight bit of those respiratory issues that we've been dealing with on beaches with red tide. Reading some of the comments here. Someone was asking about the curled up fish. I'll give you a little closer look at that right here. So it's not just laying straight across like a lot of the other dead fish here, but you can just see there's so many people that have been just coming up here to check out what's washed ashore here on Lido Beach. And then we also had this little guy wash up as well. I'm not sure if any of you guys who are marine life experts can identify what this one is. But this is the one that's been grabbing everyone's attention on Lido. So you can see on the beach, it's a very empty beach for a Saturday afternoon. I had no trouble finding parking. A horseshoe crab, that makes sense, Jason. Definitely an empty beach here, no trouble finding parking. Pretty much everyone that is here on the beach is just wearing a shirt and shorts. They're not wearing a bathing suit like we're used to seeing here at Lido Beach on a hot August afternoon. But I'm gonna take a quick walk off the beach here. The smell is definitely not as potent as we've seen in the past. We have another bigger dead fish here. Couple here, but definitely not the boatloads that we've seen in the past. Couple that have washed up together here. I guess as we move a little bit further south on the beach, we are seeing a little more fish compared to that area that I was just standing in with that large tarpon. Couple smaller fish washing ashore here. And when you look out in the water, if you look carefully, you'll see sporadically 1 or 2 fish floating in the water, making its way to the shore. The green, murky water is still present here on Lido, especially if you look out in the distance. The waves coming in, definitely a lot darker than what we're used to seeing. I'll turn around in a second to give those of you who tuned in a glimpse of that tarpon that washed up here on Lido. And it looks like a lot of these fish are starting to decompose. You can see this one here, very disturbing. Looks like something's been eating at it, unless that was what happened when it was in the water. It could easily be either one. Looks like these fish just washed up within the last couple of minutes. There's a couple more beachgoers further south, closer to the lifeguard stand, but still, the numbers are definitely not what we're used to seeing here. I'm gonna head a little bit closer so we can get back toward that tarpon for those of you who just tuned in. So for those of you who are joining our Facebook live cast right now, I am on North Lido Beach. So pretty much I just went straight on St. Armand Circle, went around the circle, went straight on toward the beach, grabbed a parking spot and just walked right on, and that's where I'm standing right now. I had no trouble finding parking. There was even a couple spots along St. Armand Circle, which I'm not used to seeing, especially on a Saturday afternoon. Plenty of spots along the road here right near the beach. And this is what a lot of beachgoers are coming to see. This is a tarpon that has washed up actually last night. So Florida Fish and Wildlife got the call about this tarpon last night. And so what they did was they contacted Mote Marine Laboratory, since this is their area. Mote Marine Laboratory was told by FWC that the caller identified this fish as a dolphin, but they came out here and found out that it was actually a larger tarpon. So whether or not they can confuse the two, this dolphin has some larger, or excuse me, this tarpon has some larger scales. Very sad to see its eyes just wide open. And right past this horseshoe crab, you can see right into its mouth. Its fin standing straight up after getting washed ashore. So very sad sight that we have here. It's understandable how someone from the distance could have mistaken this as a dolphin. We did have about 12 dolphins wash ashore or had to be rescued from the Gulf, dead dolphins that were found within the last week or so. When I contacted Mote Marine Laboratory about this fish, I was under the impression it was a dolphin as well. I originally asked them if this was number 13, but that's when they notified me that it was actually a tarpon. And this is just one of many creatures that we've seen wash ashore during this red tide bloom that we've been experiencing. As I mentioned, we've had dolphins wash ashore. We've had massive fish like this one. We have a shark that's washed ashore. Oh gosh, I'm in their photo. We had a shark that was found in Bowley's Creek, a dead shark that was found a couple of days ago. We've seen different types of crabs wash ashore, all different wildlife here. And a lot of it, experts are saying it could be because of red tide. And so we even have beachgoers that are coming to Lido just now to take pictures with this massive fish here. It's turning kind of into a tourist destination here on Lido. Hi, how are you? Oh, you're okay. Everyone's taking a photo. Oh yes, we've had lots of turtles, Sally. Thank you for reminding me. We've also had some, if I remember correctly, manatees rescued as well. So a lot of people coming to this beach right now to check out what's going on. Right now, this gentleman picking up the horseshoe crab that's washed ashore. He's a little more brave than I am.
Oh my God.
So that was washed up right next to this tarpon that we're seeing right here. And so it seems like usually we'll have beachgoers out here just enjoying the weather, enjoying the water when it's hot here in the middle of an August afternoon. But it seems like the beachgoers out here are just hunting for all different types of fish and wildlife out here. You don't really see anyone out here with a bathing suit. You have one group out here that's camped out with an umbrella, more or less just people watching what's going on out here. But further south on Lido, we do have a couple people that are sitting along the beachfront. The water is still dark and murky, is what we've been seeing the last couple of weeks here on Lido. I will say, let's see who's safe. I think that was Nora. So when I walked onto Lido Beach, my first thought was, wow, it really doesn't smell that bad. But within a couple seconds of walking on the beach, as I got closer to the water, there was a large gust of wind, and right away I just smelled that horrid smell that if they were to name it after a air freshener, it would be the red tide scent is what I would call it. As far as respiratory issues though, I think because I've been on these beaches so much, I haven't really been coughing. When I first went on a beach with red tide, it did irritate me tremendously. I have been having some issues with my sinuses, so I can't judge in that aspect because I don't know exactly what to credit that to. So for those of you who are tuning in right now, this is what a lot of people are coming here on North Lido Beach to check out. This is a large tarpon. I would say it's approximately 2.5 to 3 feet in length, maybe a little longer if you take its tail into consideration. But this large fish washed ashore last night. You can see it's actually kind of disturbing. There's so many flies that are flying around it right now. But it's been sitting here for nearly 24 hours. As far as this dead fish goes, so I spoke to Mote Marine Laboratory just before heading on Lido Beach today. They tell me that the call initially came in to Florida Fish and Wildlife. A beachgoer spotted this large fish wash ashore, and they actually identified it as a dolphin when the call came in. So then from there, Florida Fish and Wildlife contacted Mote Marine Lab because Lido Beach is one of the beaches controlled by Mote. And then from there, Mote Marine Lab came out here to see exactly what was going on, and they actually were able to tell that it was not a dolphin, it's just this large tarpon. Mote Marine Lab called it a massive tarpon when I spoke to them, but I'm under the impression that they can get much larger than this. And this one's about, like I said, 2.5 to 3 feet in length. So all the beachgoers that we have here, I'd say 9 out of 10 of them are all fully clothed. This isn't what we would call a picture-perfect beach day here on Lido Beach, especially after what we're used to here. We also had some of our viewers point out this horseshoe crab. You can even just see all its little legs underneath of it. I'm gonna go check my phone. I put a couple texts and calls into Mote Marine Laboratory, so I'm gonna see if they contacted me again, if there's any update. No, not right now. So one thing I do want to ask Mote Marine Laboratory is, since they were already out here checking this fish, I want to find out why they just left it and why they didn't take it. I think that has to do with whether or not they would investigate. I know they've been taking in all of the dead dolphins that have been discovered. There's been 12 of those dolphins found within the last week, or I guess week or two, I'm gonna say. You can even see all of the scales on this dead fish. I'm gonna give you a glimpse of what's going on in the water here. There's a pretty big fish making its way onto the shore. You can see it floating. As far as the test results for the dolphin, I don't have the full details, but I do know that when Mote Marine Laboratory did some of its testing on the dolphin, they did find it had some dead fish in its system, and those could have easily been contaminated because of the red tide, so they're not sure if that has to do with it or if it was just the red tide itself that caused these dolphins to die. So what I'm showing you guys right now is, if you look closely, there's a dead fish making its way onto the beach right now. This is one of many that I can see right now in the distance that are making its way. If you look just a couple of feet to my right, you can also see another one probably about 10 feet into the water that's floating as well. But it's fish of all sizes. This one's just getting closer and closer. You guys see that one making its way in? And it's interesting because you can see them slowly just get pushed onto the shore. I didn't even spot this one here a couple minutes ago, and they just are all slowly coming toward the beach and more or less giving these beachgoers something else to look at, unfortunately. Sarasota County has been actively cleaning up all of the dead fish on the shorelines here in the last, since August 1st, so the last 2.5 weeks. Sarasota County has cleaned up approximately 126 tons of dead fish off the local beaches. So this one just in the water a couple minutes ago made its way out of the shore. So this one just washed ashore in the last couple of minutes. Excuse me, guys. I'm going to move a little bit further north. There's not massive amounts of dead fish out here at the moment, but you can't really enter Lido Beach right now without seeing any. We have another dead fish making its way onto Lido Beach right now. Yeah, water. And that was the one just probably about 2 minutes ago that was about 10 feet out in the water in the Gulf. And now it's finally here on the shore. I know a lot of you are tuning in to see what's here on the headline regarding the large tarpon that washed ashore, easily mistaken for a dolphin here. So here's a glimpse of that. So for those of you who are just tuning in, the reason we're out here is we were told about what was originally identified as a dead dolphin, but it's actually a tarpon that washed ashore here on Lido Beach. I'm on the north end of the beach, right near St. Armand's Circle. And so here is that massive tarpon. It's approximately, I'd say, about 2.5 to 3 feet in length. Originally, FWC, Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, was notified about this large fish that washed ashore last night. And so they dispatched Mote Marine Laboratory, since Mote Marine monitors these beaches. And when Mote staff came out here, they determined that it's actually a tarpon. It's not a dolphin. So there's a lot of flies that are flying around this tarpon right now. You can see its mouth open. Very disturbing. I know this is very hard for some of our viewers to see, so I apologize. We just want to give you a glimpse of what's going on here on our local beaches. I think what disturbs me the most is this fish's eyes wide open. It just makes me so sad. What I find very interesting, for those of you who have been watching this news Facebook live cast for the last couple of minutes, you may recall there was a horseshoe crab that was sitting here, and there have been beachgoers in this area, and I'm under the impression one of them may have taken that dead horseshoe crab as a souvenir. Dead fish right here that I almost stepped on. So we have an empty beach here right now on Lido. Terry, unfortunately, I have to agree with your comment of these dead fish and these empty beaches and these conditions have been the norm for the last couple of weeks here in Sarasota County and areas of Manatee as well. We're still dealing with that dark, murky water that we've seen for the last couple of weeks. There was an interesting creature floating in the water a couple of minutes ago. I'm gonna go look for that real quick, see if we can identify what that was. We have fish of all sizes. This one is a small to medium fish. We have a tiny fish right here. Excuse me, guys. I don't know what this is, if this is even an animal or just trash. And I don't want to touch it, obviously, but this has been washing ashore for like the last 20 minutes. And I can't tell what it is. Whatever that is, it keeps getting pushed back and forth in the water. This fish no longer has an eye. I'm not sure if that happened in the water or once it washed ashore. Even you can look in the distance in the Gulf, you can see it's not the clear blue waters that we're used to seeing here on Lido. It's definitely greenish brown, dark and murky. Very empty Lido Beach here right now. There's one family in the distance. There's more beachgoers as you go south. That's actually where the lifeguard stand is. We just got a Facebook message from one of our viewers of lots of different wildlife that's washed ashore on different beaches. So I'm about to sign off, but I want to give you all a closer look. Yeah, Robin, yeah, we have lots of wildlife here. You're right, we have the turtles, dolphins, sharks, fish, different crabs. I know there were some manatees impacted. And a lot of beachgoers are actually coming here just to take a picture of this large fish. So this is what we're seeing right here. This is a large tarpon that washed ashore last night here on Lido. This is the north end of Lido Beach right here. It actually washed ashore last night, but Mote Marine Laboratory came out to check on it this morning. It was originally dispatched as a dolphin that washed up, but it's actually a tarpon that washed up here. There's actually some dead fish where that woman is looking right there. That was actually a fish that washed up within the last 5 minutes here. You can see out in the Gulf, I see 1, 2, 3 fish at the moment washing ashore. And that's just the ones I can see in my line of sight right now. I know that this has impacted areas of Pinellas County. I'm not sure how much further north it's impacted as of right now. Just a couple of weeks ago, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, that it finally reached Manatee County. But we've been experiencing this here as far south as Venice in our area, and Englewood, I should mention as well. That started probably about a month or 2 ago. So it seems like it's slowly making its way north. Yes, this is the west coast of Florida. So Lido Beach is on Sarasota, in Sarasota, for those of you who are asking. So I'm gonna sign off, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll bring you updates on this whenever it becomes available. We're still in touch with Mote Marine Laboratory about what's going on here with the dead animals, particularly about this tarpon that washed up. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll bring you updates as they become available. Have a good one.